I would argue there is never a better time for you as a young student to collaborate and make the best out of online conferences. Welcome back to PhD Coffee Time. This is the online community for you as PhD student to get motivation, peer support, and practical tips during your PhD. This is a part 2 of a 2-part videos on online conferences. Nowadays, our academic behavior has shifted. Many of you has to become like me, a YouTuber, talking to a code camera and laughing at my own jokes. And I hope my last video gave you some insight on how to master your very first video processing experience and survive your first presentation. Remember, this is a work in progress and I only cover those tips that I found necessary for scientific communication. But today, let's shift gear to being an attendee of a conference. What to do, how to get the most out of it, and what is the best practice. I say the work of going to a conference begin before the conference, and you have to start doing your homework. So what I like to do is I use, of course, OneNote. If you missed my OneNote video, here it is. I use OneNote to organize my thoughts into who are these people, how do they look like in person. I do a little bit of Googling and stalking to find out how this person look like and what are some of their work known and why do I want to listen to that talk. That's the homework, because if you haven't had that active thought processes, you are just passively sitting at a conference and consuming hours and hours of content without a purpose. That's dangerous and you want to avoid that. And the activity to do is before even the conference starts, have a list of who you want to listen to and why. At the conference, I pull up the page of how that person look like and I add notes to down below on what I have learned. If it is a panel discussion, that means they don't have a face to show and they just talk and chat. I have a little strange habit and I like to take careful notes who talk about what and think about this person imaginatively like a person standing just right there. Now the question would be, after the conference, how do you behave? Because awkwardly, everything finished and you are still in your pajama bottoms and you don't have that excitement of being in a new country, going to a conference. But guess what? You have the luxury of being at your home and feeling comfortable. So what I always do is I always send Twitter requests or LinkedIn requests to these people whom I just met. Try to initiate a real human connection, explaining why you feel interested talking with them. And that's why you need to take note in my last section, that you need to have careful note who this person is, what they have talked about, and why that interests you. That's going to help you connect with this person a lot better than people who didn't pay attention. And another trick will be having your presentation, if you were a speaker as well, have an unlisted video and send that to this person you want to connect with and tell them this is your work and initiate further content. Remember, a conference is only meaningful if you have make meaningful human content. And just sitting there and watching many workshop videos doesn't count. You have to take your step forward to connect with people. Sometimes it may mean following this person on Twitter. It may mean writing an email and saying, I will be listening to your talk and I'm excited about it. After you sit through that talk, you can talk to that person and follow up. That could be offering you want to be a postdoc or you want to have collaboration, and there are certain funding mechanisms that you can start working on. Remember, going to a conference, the whole point of that is to show up and make connection with people. It's not about you sitting at all this lecture and trying to drink from the fire hose, because you can never ideally listen to everyone, and that's really not the point. I usually have a page on OneNote dedicated for this conference. On that page, I will have copy and pasted the program of that talk and who are these people, and screen capture a picture of how the speaker look like on the website. I personally find it really important to have that imagination of who is talking and how do that person look like and where are they coming from. Do your homework and prepare that page of OneNote note-taking page for yourself in advance. That will include what are the talks that you wanted to go to and why you wanted to be there for your research. Is that because there is certain collaboration opportunity with this institution? Is that person going to become your postdoc supervisor? So there are many reasons why you want to be connecting with a person at a conference. And I found this activity important to remind myself my purpose and be more intentional with my limited energy and time. Trust me, when you're at a conference and even at home on the third and fourth days, your energy is draining and you can't make those decisions for yourself. So you need to make that executive decision on a bird's eye view on why you are there and what is the most important priority for you at that conference. During this home office phase of 2020, I have discovered a lot more about scheduling and online meetings. You could send a link to show your calendar availability and let that person book you for a 45-minute call or 30-minute call according to their availability. So this way you don't need to set up a longer conversation just to find out what time you want to meet. And one application I found helpful is Calendly, and I'm sure there are many other ways that you can make a meeting. And if you have that person's Gmail, you could also set it up. You can connect your Gmail calendar by signing up with your Gmail ID with Calendly. After that, you can schedule interview or coffee event with your collaborator. So you could set that up for the future 2 weeks. You can type in 14 calendar days. And you can designate even 25-minute phone call. And then by the end of this, people can pick a day and time that works for them. And you can professionally share a link to ask people to book you for an interview or a coffee chat. So after a virtual conference, revisit your objective. Have you talked to the people you wanted to talk to? Are they positive? Are they as helpful as you thought? Are there new people that you found during the conference that you need to follow up with? Then you better send out those Twitter invites and email follow-up with those people and try to set up at least a little conversation, 30 minutes with these people. I hope these tips are helpful for you. Remember, a conference is not a place for you to just sit at lectures. I'm a big nerd and I love scientific talks, and sometimes it blows me away when I go to a good one. Sometimes it's important you also wear that executive hat for yourself in advance so that you don't get blown away by the really good scientific talks that may not be as relevant to what you needed to achieve in that conference. So have 2 agendas and enjoy your conference. One of the biggest perks of being a PhD student is to be able to travel to exotic places and be there for a scientific conference. Unfortunately, this year in 2020, none of this is happening and everything has to go online. This is overwhelming to many of us. It's not comfortable, it's not human. There are many complaints about virtual conferences. I hope that I can bring out the positive side of this phenomenon and how you as a PhD student can harness this opportunity to expand your network, to get the most out of the scientific community online and move forward with your project with all this new connection at a virtual conference. I think the positive side of virtual conference can be you can reduce the traveling stress. You don't have to book a ticket to go to a country remember the traveling. I mean, people miss traveling right now, but when we are traveling, we are mostly stressed, we are maybe jet lagged, sleep deprived, and we may not be performing at our best. We may not be eating the food that we wanted to. We may not be as warm as you wish. When I gave my first conference in New Zealand, I was cold. It was winter in New Zealand in July, and I was wearing my thickest jacket and I was still shivering. So these are the aspects that I think we are benefiting at the comfort of our own home to enjoy the best science in the field. Also, you don't need to find the front seat to see the slide clearly. You can just sit at your home and look at your computer screen. Notes-taking option at home is a lot more flexible when you are at your home computer, and you're not supposed to take photograph when you are in a real conference. And when you are at a home office situation, you can take a lot more note. You can be capturing some important sentences and screen captures. So I think these are making science communication more effective. Everyone is not jet lagged, they are in their own time zone, and once the conference is organized, you can get an opportunity to reach out to people organically, and you can talk to these scientists. One benefit of having conferences virtually these days is you don't have that embarrassing moment that you talk to a speaker right after the talk and you realize you haven't read enough of their work and you don't have enough knowledge to follow up right away. If they are really important people, the only time to catch that keynote speaker is right after the talk. So we do have advantage of being in virtual setting. Everyone is at home and people feel quite comfortable that you make an invite for Zoom calls or email follow-up. And as a PhD student, that gives you time to prepare yourself and read the work that is essential to initiate the first conversation and make a good impression during that conversation on a Zoom call. People nowadays are more open to having a Zoom call than ever. So I think these are all good aspects of you being a student participating in a conference and to be seen more. Because just remember how conference goes. They usually PI and big names PI, they're sitting together having a beer. You never get the chance to talk to those people. But if you write a good enough email after the conference and if it is sent timely, you may get a good 30 minutes to work with that PI and get seen. So I think the political aspect of being in a social setting of conference is now disappearing. And maybe it gives more equality to new and rising scientists, and you just need to work and be intentional so that people can see you and work with you. I am a house cat, so maybe I'm biased with that. But I really think my brain is functioning as well now and optimized with the Zoom calls and all the screens. But I do miss the social aspect of sharing time as human, which we all do right now. On that side, there are many perks to young PhD, and I would argue there is never a better time for you as a young student to collaborate and make the best out of online conferences. I hope these are helpful. Thank you for watching, and if you think my tips are helpful for your friends or in your lab, if you were a PI, I make this content to be shareable and good training materials for students just like you and other PhD students that you might have in the lab. So please help this channel by spreading the word and give this video a thumbs up, and it's going to make this algorithm understand the importance of this video.